Hello everyone, this is Showtime 112. This is part 2 of our video about Mach-E C205V Veltro in Egyptian service. Check out part 1 if you missed it. On December 31st, 1948, 3 Israeli Spitfires were sent to attack the Egyptian airfield at Bir Hama. They were flown by Danny Wilson and 2 South African pilots with the last name Cohen, Sid and Jack. Wilson, whose full name was Clifford Denzel Wilson, was yet another non-Jewish Canadian pilot with World War II experience. He had been credited with downing 2 Luftwaffe aircraft. The 3 Spitfires were supposed to bomb the Bir Hama airfield first, and then strafe it if they could find any lucrative targets on the ground. As Wilson was in a dive aiming for the hangar complex, he spotted a silhouette of an aircraft at about 2,000 feet. He dropped his bombs and zoomed up to check on the intruder. He identified it as a Fiat, which was another misidentification as the airplane in question was a Mach-E C205V, whose pilot was returning from a sortie unaware of the Israeli attack. Wilson fired several short bursts, and the Mach-E went into a spin with the pilot bailing out successfully west of the airfield. Sid Cohen made one strafing pass at what looked like a damaged Mach-E in the western side of the field. Jack Cohen and Wilson also made one pass each at the same damaged airplane. On his second pass, Sid Cohen attacked another C-205 which was taxiing to take off. An Arab source says that 2 pilots, Mustafa Kamel Abed Wahib and Hawaf Arusa, were shot down and killed as they were trying to take off in their Mach-Es, while the Mach-E claimed by Wilson was possibly damaged. Some sources say that Danny Wilson shot down another Egyptian airplane while returning to base, a Spitfire that was escorting a C-47 dropping supplies to the garrison in the Fallujah pocket. The Egyptian Spitfire noticed the attacker and tried to turn. Wilson was still able to achieve hits with a single long burst. But Aloni's Israeli Air Force operations in the 1948 war doesn't mention this second kill, and it states that Wilson was only awarded 1 kill, that of a Mach-E, or as it originally said, a Fiat. The next encounter between the Egyptian Mach-Es and Israeli fighters came on 5th of January 1949. At that time, it was reported that Egyptian Air Force pulled out of their bases at Sinai, but they were still attacking Israeli positions. A mixed formation of an Israeli Spitfire flown by Seymour Feldman and the Mustang flown by Boris Sr. took off at about 11 a.m. on an armed reconnaissance mission. Boris Sr., the flight leader, was South African. Seymour Feldman was an American who had volunteered to fly for the RAF during World War II. He shot down 10 V-1 rockets in his Hawker Tempest. The mixed Israeli pair patrolled between Abu Agheila and Rafah on the coast, experiencing fire from ground units. As they approached the coast, they spotted 3 Makki fighters who were attacking Israeli ground positions outside Rafah. Although the sun was behind him, the Egyptian pilots noticed the Israelis as they were approaching. 2 of them turned back to engage the Israelis, while the leader turned away and escaped towards Egypt. Boris Sr. made a pass on the Makki number 3. He was able to achieve hits, and he witnessed the enemy airplane diving and pouring smoke. The Egyptian pilot that confronted Seymour Feldman was the most capable of the 3. The 2 fighters went into a hard-turning dogfight. Feldman achieved some hits with a high deflection, but the Makki still kept turning tightly. Feldman made a head-on attack and then noticed his flight leader attacking the Egyptian aircraft too. The Makki pilot turned away towards Senior, and the Israeli pilot apparently achieved hits. The Makki started pouring smoke and began to dive towards the desert. Israeli Air Force awarded each pilot with a kill, although this was in fact a single shared kill. Another Makki was declared a probable kill as Senior never saw it crash. The final action for the Egyptian Makkis took place on 7 January 1949, the last day of the war. 2 Israeli Mustangs flown by Boris Sr. and Jack Doyle escorted 5 Harvards on a bombing mission over Deir Balah. The 2 Mustangs remained on patrol between Rafah and Aouja. They spotted 6 fighters at low altitude. Boris Sr. dived on the formation which he first identified as Spitfires, but he was sure they weren't Israeli. He approached the last airplane and fired several bursts at it. Senior noticed his victim smoking and then pulled up. He attempted to contact his wingman, Jack Doyle, with whom he lost the visual contact but received no reply. Jack Doyle also attacked the Egyptian formation. He achieved hits on one aircraft and saw it pouring smoke. Doyle then found himself in the Egyptian formation, but he was able to attack another aircraft which also started pouring smoke. He disengaged and eventually met his leader near Rafah. Neither of the Israeli pilots saw any of their victims crash, but they were awarded a kill each, Senior of a Spitfire and Doyle of a Fiat. The airplanes were in fact Maki C-205s. The first Arab-Israeli war ended that day, but deliveries of remaining C-205s to Egypt continued. On 18 September 1949, an Israeli paramilitary organization planted bombs in the Maki factory hangar in Italy. One C-205 and 3 light planes were destroyed, and some other 205s damaged. This, however, didn't affect Egyptian deliveries as their airframes were in another location. In 1950, a visiting technical team from Maki noticed that 26 examples of the type were still in service in Egypt, including 4 of the original combat veterans. Soon after that, the C-205 in Egypt was relegated to advanced fighter training role, and they were retired by the end of 1950s. The Italian fighter in Egyptian service flew many combat sorties, and apparently achieved some success in providing ground support. But when facing Israeli fighters flown by experienced World War II veterans, they were always on the losing end. Don't forget to press the like button if you liked the video. Join our Patreon supporters or donate on PayPal to keep the channel in business. Thank you and keep watching Showtime 112.